Hey, welcome back. I'm Marwan Dajani from Elif Team Business Solution, and I am the world's best method customization expert. Today, I'm going to show you something that is super common. People ask all the time for me, and that is adding an attachment to an invoice when you send it or to an estimate. Essentially, adding an attachment inside of the email that goes out to your customer. It's very simple and very easy, and let's try and do it under 5 minutes. All right, let's get to it. So, I have an invoice here that I've created. I actually have no clue where to put myself. All right, there you go. We have an invoice right here, a very simple invoice. And what we're gonna do is that when you click on the send email here, and it shows you this beautiful display, and I click OK, and it goes ahead and sends the email, I want to attach the invoice as an attachment in that email so that my customer doesn't need to just click on the portal and view it. They can just view it directly from the email itself. You do need to customize. So if you don't have customizer or admin access, go ahead and ask your admin to give you customizer access to your user. Otherwise, this video is pointless for you. So I'm going to assume that you know how to customize, and I'm going to assume that you have customizer access. So let's just get to it. Very easy. So in the invoice itself, because we're going to customize this button right here where I click email, right? What we're going to do is we're going to customize the screen. And then you're probably going to have an edit. I've already customized the screen, but you need to make a copy of it to be able to customize. So you click on edit if you have edit up here. Okay. We're going to scroll down and find that send email button. It's inside of a button menu, all the way where the buttons are. Here it is, send. Okay, so if I click on the arrow and I go to menu items, you'll be able to see all the items that you have. We want email because that's what we click on to go there. So if I click here, all right, this button calls another routine, which is a different button on the screen that does all the emailing. So on the event that I click on that. So we're just going to jump to that and go there. Cool. So what we're going to do actually is we're going to skip all of this. We're not going to edit anything that is inside of the email functionality. However, you need to know how, if you have the basic email functionality out of Method out of the box, you need to know how it works. Essentially what it does is it loops through all of the contacts for that customer that are not opted out of billing. And then it tries to send them each an individual email. It does that because each user has a unique link to the portal. So if they receive an email with somebody else's link, it's going to ask them to log in. So that's why it sends a separate email for each user. Something that you can customize if you don't like. But what we're going to do is we're going to attach the invoice for every single email. So we're going to look for the loop. There should be a loop that loops through all the contacts. So these are the attachments. If you want them, that's not what we're looking for. It should be right here. I think it's action number 54 for everybody. I cannot remember if I actually customized this button, but it's somewhere like that. It looks like this. Loop through the table, and it should say loop through contacts that are not opted out of billing. But in reality, what we're going to do, we're actually going to add that action that creates the PDF outside of the loop, because we really need to do it once. That's it. Attach it to all the emails and then call it a day. So I'll show you kind of like the quick way, the preferred way that I like to do it. So what I generally do is I kind of collapse the loop just because it takes so much space. And then add a new action. You can add it just above, but because there's an if statement, it becomes kind of hard. Just do what I'm doing. Add an action, and what you're looking for is the generate report action. Okay, so that's the action that's going to get the PDF and generate it. But we're not going to print the PDF. We're just going to save it in a variable, and then we're going to add it to the email. However, the way PDFs work is that they are saved, or in transactions, specifically on an invoice, is that they are saved inside of a preference. So the first thing that we need to do is to figure out what invoice are we printing. Okay, and I'll show you later on how to figure out your preference if you want to change it. So before we generate this report, actually, we are going to add an action just above it by clicking on the plus here, or you can just add an action and move it. And that is a retrieve value from table. And the specific table that we're looking for is called preferences method. Okay, so these are the preferences that you save inside of method, and you're going to have to trust me on this one. This value is always going to be you search for the word record ID, so just record ID on its own, which should be after D. I think it's actually this one right here. Is greater than 0. It's always greater than 0 whenever you are looking at preferences method, okay? And then the template that you're looking for, if you just search the word invoice, it should be a default template invoice, this one, okay? So take it, select the display or the record ID, doesn't matter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna save it in an action result, which is a variable. So we're gonna call this PDF template, I guess. You can call it whatever you want. Maybe spell better than me. Save it into the action result. Put some notes just to know what you're getting. Get the preference. Okay, so now that it lives above the generate report, if we come back to the generate report, so it's going to ask you which report are you generating. So there's a bunch for the invoice. I personally have one for I've created multiple templates, but I know for a fact that this is the one that I'm using right now, all right? I think by default, the one is invoice. If you're using QBO, it's invoice QBO product V2, I think. That's the one that's Method uses. So if I have selected one, that's okay, but this is the important one, which is to override with a report, okay? Meaning that this is the default PDF that we're gonna print, but because I have a preference that I might change, override it with the PDF template preference that I have. Cool. And then we're gonna print off the invoice stable, and then you're gonna open their criteria to say that where the record ID of the invoice, again, it's just the word record ID on its own, is equal to the screen active record ID, meaning that it prints the invoice that I'm looking at right now on that screen. I usually always put it to always generate. This is kind of like a safeguard in case that it doesn't generate any records. It just doesn't do anything. Always set it to always generate. You want it to be in a PDF unless, I don't know, you want it in CSV, I don't know why. And then you want to uncheck display report on generation, meaning if you keep this checked, it's just going to print it in a new tab. If you uncheck it, it's just not going to print it. It's just going to save it. Keep optimized fields always. You can give the report a name if you want. So this is essentially when they print it, the name of the report as the file name. You can set it up here. I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to keep it. But this is the important part, is to store it inside of an action result. So we're just going to call it PDF on its own, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to move those two actions above the loop that we collapsed, okay? Not inside of the else statement, just right above it. So I'm going to start with the retrieve, put it here, and I'm going to start with the generate and put it here. Or I guess next is then generate. The last step to do, and that's it, that kind of concludes everything, is to add it to the email. So if you open the loop and look for the send email action, which should be all the way at the bottom of the loop, here it is. What you want to do is you want to add an attachment, and you want to add the PDF. There you go, and that will include the PDF inside of your email. That's it, we're done. We can now close this. And you're not going to be able to see it in the preview, but if I am to send this to myself, then I'll be able to see the PDF in there. Send it to 2 because I have another person in there. Here's the email. And if I scroll down, I'll see that my PDF is attached to it right here. I hope this was helpful, useful. This is one of the most common requested customizations that I get, or when we were in Method, people request it. Hopefully it serves you well, and make sure to kind of subscribe. Make sure to reach out to me with any questions that you have. Leave in the comments what would you like to learn, or any sort of customization, or any problems that you have in your business. You can always reach out to me and I'll give you free, I'll talk about your business, kind of architect all the things that you could do, and we can just stay friends. I'm trying to create a community of small business owners and who serve their communities as well. This is my mission in life, is to help build thriving communities, and I do that by helping small and medium-sized businesses grow and scale. So please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to hear about your story, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Take it easy.